Popularity in the music industry is up and down. While some artists sustain decade-long careers, others fade from the spotlight slowly. In this video, we'll look at 8 artists that quietly declined. Rae Jepsen. Rae Jepsen's career trajectory is largely defined by one of the biggest breakout hits of the 2010s, Call Me Maybe. After placing 3rd on Canadian Idol in 2007, and releasing a debut album Tug of War in 2008, her career exploded in 2012. Call Me Maybe gained international traction after Justin Bieber famously tweeted about it, leading to a recording contract. The song became a global phenomenon, topping the Billboard Hot 100 for 9 consecutive weeks, ending 2012 as the best-selling single globally. Her sophomore album Kiss was released in 2012 and reached number 6 on the Billboard 200. It featured the successful Owl City duet Good Time, which peaked at number 8 on the Hot 100. Following the generational success of Call Me Maybe, Carly faced the challenge of maintaining that level of mainstream visibility. Her 3rd studio album, Emotion, was released in 2012 and was a significant artistic pivot, embracing an 80s-inspired synth-pop sound. While the album received widespread critical acclaim, earning a cult following and appearing on numerous Best of the Year lists, its commercial performance was significantly lower than Kiss. The lead single, I Really Like You, peaked at number 39 on the Hot 100. And the album itself debuted at number 16 on the Billboard 200, selling around 16,000 copies in the US in its first week, which was very low compared to her previous album. Since Emotion, Carly has continued to release critically acclaimed albums like Dedicated in 2019, Dedicated Side B in 2020, The Loneliest Time in 2022, and The Loveliest Time in 2023. These albums have maintained her reputation as a critic's darling and solidified her dedicated fanbase, but they have consistently gotten minimal chart presence. For instance, The Loneliest Time didn't even chart on the Billboard 200, and its singles didn't touch the Billboard Hot 100 at all. Carly has quietly transitioned from a mainstream pop sensation to an influential indie pop artist, but her mainstream spotlight has continued to fade. Ashanti. Ashanti emerged as a dominant force in R&B in the early 2000s, quickly becoming one of the genre's most successful new artists. Discovered by Irv Gotti and signed to Murder Inc. Records, she made an immediate impact with her features on Fat Joe's What's Love, which peaked at number 2, and Ja Rule's Always On Time, which topped the Billboard Hot 100. Her self-titled debut album Ashanti was released in 2002 and was a massive success, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling over 500,000 copies in its first week, setting a SoundScan record for a debut female artist. The album spawned the number 1 hit Foolish, which stayed at number 1 for 10 weeks, and Happy, which hit number 8 on the Hot 100, making her the first female artist to simultaneously hold the top 2 positions of the Hot 100. Her sophomore album, Chapter 3, was released in 2003 and also debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 320,000 copies in its first week and achieving platinum status. It featured the top 10 hit Rock With You, which hit number 2 on the Hot 100. Her 3rd studio album, Concrete Rose, was released in 2004 and debuted at number 7, spawning the hit Only You, which peaked at number 13. During this period, Ashanti was everywhere, becoming one of the biggest names of the early 2000s R&B, selling millions of records worldwide. However, after Concrete Rose, her mainstream commercial success began to decline. Her 4th album, The Declaration, was released in 2008 and debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200, only selling 86,000 copies in its first week, a significant drop from her previous albums. And the singles didn't do well either, with The Way That I Love You peaking at number 37 on the Hot 100. Her next album continued the decline. Braveheart, released in 2014, is still her latest studio album. It debuted at number 10 on the Billboard 200, selling 28,000 units in its first week, which was a flop. While Ashanti continues to tour, she has reached her legacy artist era, and her career has continued to fade since the mid-2000s. Ne-Yo established himself as a prominent force in R&B in the mid-2000s, first as a highly sought-after songwriter and then as a successful artist. His breakthrough as a songwriter came in 2004 with Mario's hit Let Me Love You, which topped the Billboard Hot 100 for weeks. This success paved the way for his solo career, launching with his debut album In My Own Words in 2006. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with 300,000 copies sold in his first week, propelled by the smash hit So Sick, which reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Ne-Yo quickly followed this up with the Grammy-winning Because of You in 2007, which also hit the top of the Billboard 200, and the title track became a huge hit, reaching number 2 on the Hot 100. Ne-Yo solidified his position as a hitmaker with his third studio album Year of the Gentleman in 2008. It was certified platinum in the US, featured international hits like Closer, which hit number 7 on the Hot 100, and the Grammy-winning Miss Independent, which peaked on number 7. Beyond his own releases, Ne-Yo's songwriting prowess continued to shine, contributing to chart-topping hits for other artists, including Beyoncé's Irreplaceable and Rihanna's Unfaithful and Take a Bow, showing his influence behind the scenes. He dominated pop and R&B radio throughout the late 2000s. However, as the 2010s progressed, the landscape of R&B shifted and he couldn't adapt. While Ne-Yo continued to release albums, their commercial performance saw a quiet decline compared to his earlier success. His next albums, Libra Scale in 2010, RED in 2012, Nonfiction in 2015, and Good Man in 2018, sold less and less. His latest album, Self-Explanatory, came in 2022 and was only able to hit number 184 on the Billboard 200. While Ne-Yo still tours and occasionally releases new music, his commercial success as an artist has quietly declined. Sia. Sia Furler's career is a testament to perseverance. Starting in the mid-1990s in Australia as a jazz scene, her early solo albums like Only See in 1997 and Healing is Difficult in 2001 gained limited commercial success. She slowly gained a cult following and buzz, particularly with the song Breathe Me in 2004, which gained exposure because it was on the TV show 6 Feet Under. However, it was her songwriting for other artists, penning massive hits like Rihanna's Diamonds and Beyoncé's Pretty Hurts, that established her as a huge force behind the scenes. This period marked a deliberate retreat from the public eye because of her discomfort with fame. Sia's true mainstream pop explosion came with her 2014 album 1000 Forms of Fear, driven by the huge lead single Chandelier, which peaked on number 8 on the Hot 100. The album debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200, her first chart topper in the US, selling 52,000 album equivalent units in its first week. She innovated her public persona by performing with her face covered and using child dancer Maddie Ziegler in her videos. This was followed by This Is Acting in 2016, an album comprised of songs she originally wrote for other artists. It spawned the global smash hit Cheap Thrills, which topped the Billboard Hot 100, becoming her first number 1 as a lead artist. However, since this mid-2010s peak, Sia's presence in mainstream pop has quietly declined. Her next Christmas album, Every Day is Christmas in 2017, only sold 19,000 units in its first week. Her involvement in the supergroup LSD with Labyrinth and Diplo got her some popular tracks, but it didn't last long. The release of her controversial film Music in 2021 and the associated soundtrack received widespread criticism and flopped on the charts. Her latest album, Reasonable Woman, came in 2024, but it debuted on number 153 on the Billboard 200, only selling 5,000 units in its first week. While still kinda active in music, Sia's solo music no longer commands the top spots on the charts, fading quietly into the background, just as she likes it. Flo Rida. Flo Rida burst onto the scene with a string of party anthems, becoming one of the most prolific hitmakers of the late 2000s and early 2010s. His debut single Low featuring T-Pain from his 2008 album Mail on Sunday was a huge success, spending 10 consecutive weeks on number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and eventually being certified diamond by the RIAA. He followed it up with more chart toppers like Right Round in 2009, which also hit number 1 on the Hot 100, and Club Can't Handle Me in 2010, which hit number 9. Flo Rida's peak was characterized by club-friendly tracks with mediocre raps that dominated radio and dance floors worldwide. His album Wild Ones in 2012 featured 3 top 10 singles, the title track Wild Ones featuring Sia, which hit number 5, Whistle, which topped the Billboard Hot 100, and Cry, which hit number 6 on the Hot 100. During this period, he sold over 80 million records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling rappers of all time. However, After the early 2010s, Flo Rida's chart dominance began to quietly fade, while he still managed to land a few moderate hits like GDFR, which hit number 8 in 2014, and My House, which hit number 4 in 2015. He hasn't dropped another studio album since 2012. His latest project is still the My House EP, which peaked at number 14 on the Billboard 200. Since then, he has released singles here and there, but hasn't landed a Hot 100 single since 2016, settling into a role as a touring artist and a nostalgic act. Shawn Mendes. Shawn Mendes quickly rose to prominence as a pop heartthrob in the 2010s, leveraging his initial fame from Vine to pivot into a music career. His early EPs and debut album, Handwritten in 2015, became instantly successful. Handwritten debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 119,000 units in his first week, and featured his breakout hit Stitches, which peaked at number 4 on the Hot 100. This established him as a consistent hitmaker and a major force in pop music. His trajectory continued upwards, with Illuminate in 2016 and his self-titled Shawn Mendes 2018 album, both of which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, making him one of the youngest artists to achieve 3 number 1 albums. These albums spawned global hits like Treat You Better, which peaked at number 6 in the US, There's Nothing Holding Me Back, which also peaked at number 6 on the Hot 100, and In My Blood, which hit number 11 on the Hot 100. His collaboration with then-girlfriend Camila Cabello on Señorita became a global phenomenon in 2019, topping the Billboard Hot 100 and accumulating over 3 billion streams on Spotify, solidifying his status as a top-tier pop star. However, his career has quietly declined since his 2020 album Wonder. While Wonder did debut at number 1 on the Billboard 200, its lead single failed to replicate the massive success of his previous hits, peaking at number 18. The Monster with Justin Bieber is the biggest hit from the album, hitting number 8 on the Hot 100. His highly publicized cancellation of his Wonder tour in July 2022 because of his mental health struggles led to a significant break from the public eye. While he has continued to release new music, he just doesn't get the radio play he got in the late 2010s. His latest album, Shawn, came in 2024 and debuted at number 26 on the Billboard 200, selling just 11,000 units in his first week. Shawn Mendes' career is in an interesting time at the moment, declining year after year. Ellie Goulding. Ellie Goulding burst onto the music scene in the early 2010s, quickly establishing herself as a unique voice in pop music. Her debut album Lights was released in 2010 and was a commercial success, reaching number 1 on the UK albums chart and spawning the massive hit Lights, which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2011 and was certified 7 times platinum by the RIAA. Her follow-up album Halcyon was released in 2012 and continued her rise, featuring the global smash Burn, which became her first UK number 1 single and reached number 13 on the Hot 100. She also had huge success with features like Calvin Harris's I Need You, which hit number 16, and Outside, which hit number 29. Ellie's peak mainstream visibility arguably came in 2015 with Love Me Like You Do, the lead single from the 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack. The power ballad became a global phenomenon, reaching number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and becoming one of her highest charting singles worldwide. Her third studio album, Delirium, was released in 2015 and aimed more for a mainstream pop sound, debuting at number 3 on the Billboard 200. While it had hits like On My Mind, the album's overall commercial performance didn't match the impact of her earlier work. In the late 2010s and into the 2020s, Ellie's mainstream chart presence has seen a quiet decline. Her fourth studio album, Brightest Blue, was released in 2020 and debuted at number 29 on the Billboard 200, and its singles like Flux and Power did not chart on the Hot 100 at all. While she continues to release music and collaborate, her most recent album, Higher Than Ever, was released in 2023 and peaked at number 125 on the Billboard 200. Her consistent presence at the top of the charts in the early 2010s has now diminished, moving her towards a slow decline in her career. Sean Paul. Sean Paul carved out a unique space in mainstream pop by fusing dancehall, pop, and R&B. His breakthrough came with his second studio album, Dirty Rock, in 2002, which became a global phenomenon, peaking at number 9 on the Billboard 200 and selling over 6 million copies worldwide. It spawned mega hits like Gimme the Light, which hit number 7 on the Hot 100, Get Busy, which topped the Billboard Hot 100, and Like Glue, which peaked at number 13. His collaboration with Beyonce on Baby Boy in 2003 also topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 9 weeks, solidifying his status as a chart-topping artist. His follow-up, The Trinity, came in 2005 and continued his success, debuting at number 7 on the Billboard 200 and producing hits like We Be Burnin', which hit number 6 on the Hot 100, and the Grammy-nominated Temperature, which was a chart topper. Sean Paul's distinctive voice made him inescapable in the early 2000s, selling millions of records. Despite his undeniable impact, his solo mainstream chart presence began to quietly decline in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Albums like Imperial Blaze in 2009 and Tomahawk Technique in 2012 saw diminishing returns on the Billboard 200, peaking at number 12 and number 66 respectively. While he consistently released music, his major chart success largely shifted to features. He experienced a significant resurgence in the mid-2010s as he was featured on global hits like Sia's Cheap Thrills, which was a number 1 hit, and Clean Bandit's Rockabye, which was a top 10 hit. While these collaborations proved that he could still deliver, his own singles never achieved the same level of success. He is still releasing new music, but none of it seems to stick, and he is still touring off his old hits. Which artists that quietly declined did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.